So I have this real love-hate relationship with tenure and what it actually means. People don't understand what it means to sort of put it out there. It's kind of like, people think it's a guaranteed job. It's not actually the case. It's easy to get fired if you have tenure. Well, relatively. I mean, it's not like it's like at any other major corporation, organization, there needs to be generally due cause. So if you do something goofy, you're gonna get fired. But, um, the typical goofy. But but here's the love-hate relationship with it, is that there is this hurdle to get in and get it, right? So it's a relatively high hurdle wherever you're going. And so it creates this artificial incentive to get in, and people clamor to get in, and it's a very challenging process for a lot of people to get tenure at most places. Now this depends on all sorts of, where you're at and what it means, like all these kind of things, right? But generally, it's very, very challenging to get tenure at a place, at any place that's really relatively competent. Now, here's what what I don't like about it is the fact that it creates all these weird incentives for people to either play the game, right? And you know what I'm talking about with playing the game, where there's um, people are looking at how they can manipulate it to get in, get tenure, all that kind of stuff. That does happen. Um, or on the other side is once they get it, people don't like it. This is a big myth that once you get tenure, you stop working. That's not true. Um, but it creates these like weird incentives to um, to make it harder to get jobs and mobility in other places and do other roles, right? Because for some reason, people have this artificial barrier in your head where you're like, oh, I got tenure, and why would I ever give up tenure? I'm not going to go do this thing or that thing. And it's this like artificial friction that often prevents people from doing things that are often better for them, right? And what that does is it really changes the labor market for professors, and researchers or whoever, right? Um, what am I meaning here is that they are more tempted because of this artificial barrier to keep their particular position than to leap and to go do something else. It's kind of like uh, any other thing that an employer wants to provide is kind of like an incentive to stay there, right? And it's this artificial barrier where people look at it and they're like, why would I ever give up tenure? Um, Well, often it does make a lot of rational sense to give up tenure, right? There is a lot of reasons where it is far better off to give up tenure to go to someplace else. Um, it's just that it makes it an emotional, challenging decision for a lot of people to make. And what does that do with the overall labor market? Um, is I think now I don't know. There's probably empirical evidence on this. I don't know if it exists, but I think it's it creates a friction, and whenever that there is a friction, it's actually worse for the labor market, right? It's worse for professors. It's worse for the people that are actually working there. It's worse for all players because there might be a better position that's out there in the private industry that somebody could take, yet they choose not to take it. So, and it might be better off in the private industry for people to have access to that, and that company might be better off. And then the, universities are not necessarily having a disservice, or there's a disservice for them as well, right? Because they're not getting adequate liquidity in the labor market, so that they underestimate exactly how much their assets are actually worth, right? And they might not provide the adequate resources for them to perform well. So, in my view, I've have this very much a love hate relationship with it. Um, on one side, there is this weird incentive. People view this, I don't know why, but they, view it as like, oh my God, I got to get tenure. If I don't get it, then I'm a failure. Just dumb, stupid logic. Um, but um, on the other side, it creates more productivity, better off, all that kind of stuff, right? The world is better off because. But on the flip side, it creates this really weird inefficiency in the market. I would love to actually see a study. I don't know. I haven't looked into this enough, but it would be interesting to look at whether the ultimate sort of overall welfare, the benefit for everybody is actually better to have tenure in a tenure system. My hunch, um, is that it it may not be better off. But that's hard to tell in terms of what this actually is. And a lot of the reasons that you often hear, common reasons why you have the tenure system is, it's not quite true. Um, because you still could get fired for any number of different reasons, right? And as long as there's adequate due cause. So I want you to really think about this, take a step back, and think about like, oh, is this actually a good thing or not? I don't know, right? Um, I wish I knew. It'd be a lot easier to understand. But right now, it's never been clear to me. I think it creates these weird artificial barriers, frictions in the marketplace that I think ultimately are not, um, that they maybe make the job worse for everybody. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.